Hello, YouTube fans, here again, and I figure why not? Boom, 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 boom. I want to do it, being Jaws. I know it's the 50th anniversary, it's a classic, it's a film that launched Steven Spielberg, film that also launched another star, being Roy Sider. You got Richard Chambers, your actors who are sadly no longer with us, may they rest. You got it all on Jaws. So we're going to go with Jaws. Let's go right through the past. During the early 70s, there was a book from Peter Batley. I can pronounce his name right, I'm very rubbish on names. Peter Batley launched his book, Go Jaws, basically about a take right shark. Then what happened was, Steven Spielberg at the time was still a lung director at the time, and he read the book, The Jaws. He felt this could be a good sequel to the film I reviewed, being Duel. Instead of it being a maniac truck driver tormenting a working man on a road or a desert, let's make a sequel where instead it's a take right shark attacking a town, a man taking on a shark, just being Roy Sider, a Sheriff Boulder, and the rest is history. So we're going to go with Jaws. How can I forget? I can forget the take music. I just did a bit. Boom, 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 boom. Now, originally, that bit of music, Steven Spielberg weren't going to use, but then when you felt he needed a beat, he needed an heartbeat, he needed something with a bit of a punch to it. So that's why we had the date theme tune, Jaws, being a boom, 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 that tune. Date tune won awards for that date, epic music, by the one that did the music. Did a lot of other date music, whether it be Star Wars, whether it be other date films. This guy did a lot, and I mean a lot of date theme tunes to films. And I love this one. I love it a lot. It has an art to it. So you got that bit of music, you got Jaws flying across the stream. You got this dude, pretty to look at, these other people smoking and drinking, and she wanders off with her mates. This lad obviously fancies her, chasing after her. He says, where you going? Where you going? Swimming! Jumps in the pool. He's had too much. He passes out. She's swimming. He's the lucky one in the film and that bit. Without him passing out, he's the lucky one because his poor girl's swimming. And I love the bit you got the saddle. It's kind of sad, really. Steven Spielberg wanted to make the rating a bit more mild because originally that bit, oh, I am a pervert. There's a bit of a saddle over on the water. Now I think originally that was more light so you could see everything. Hey man, you can see both. You could. I turns over the years that's been darkened down so you don't see that. But it's not about the naked girl, even though it's not her. It's a body double. It's not about her. It's about what's going to come. So you've got the date scene of the water, her legs, it's going up and up and up, not after the bus. And it drags her. Her effect is comes that fear in her face, good bit of a performance. She's getting dragged here, she's getting dragged there. Do you know the making of that? I would, if you love makings like I do, of movies, I would recommend seeing the making of that. It is brilliant. But I felt, and I said this when I said I like the things I like about Jaws, not seeing that shark made the film. It made it. So the downfall is she gets dragged again, she's screaming for help, nobody's there. And that is the most terrifying thing ever. So you get Roy Sider, his Sheriff Bodie, comes in. She's the lad. She's caught, been socked. You don't see that much of the body. And you don't need to. You don't see blood. You don't see door. You know what a down fate is. You just see the hand and an arm like that. I told you to see a bit more in the autopsy. But in the autopsy, you only see what's in your head. It doesn't show too much. I respect it for that. I respect it. So it turns to town, they're trying to fob it off, say it's a boating accident and so on. The mayor, because it's near summertime, I think near June, July, pushing nearly up to August, he's thinking of this, man. He's thinking of money, which is typical. So they're having another bit, they're all in the water, got the little boy swimming. I do know that originally, as I just said in the deleted scenes, would along be a lot more traffic. You see the shark get him and bite into him. I'm happy we see it the way I see it. Some people prefer to see the footage what was never shown. I feel you see as much what you see. You don't need to see a waxwork dummy of a little boy a fake shark biting into him, fake blood squirting out everywhere. You don't need that. You don't need it. It's bad enough knowing it's a kid there. I know he's not no longer a kid there. I've seen photos of the guy now. He's definitely not a kid anymore. But, you know, in that era, you don't need to see a little kid. It's traffic. You see as much as you can see. So you've got the bit, the legs, the water. You see him streaming. Some people said you see the shark. I just look at it as the rubber dinghy getting snapped in half. You see him getting dragged under that horrible sound. I remember when I was a thing, it actually freaked me out, that sound where you hear him streaming underwater. Just the thought of that and the blood. And there's a bit with the dog. I can forget the dog. Snippy, Snippy. And I always, one day on the road, I want to do a thing about that. Did Dawes, the shark, did it eat that dog or did it not? I just read it didn't eat the fucking dog. You don't hear no Jaws theme. When the shark's going to attack, that's when you hear the boom, 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 boom. The dog's fine. The dog's probably wandered off somewhere eating a stick. It's got a bone in its mouth. Probably off that poor woman. I don't know. But I don't think it fucking got killed. That's my opinion. Because every time the shark's going to attack, that is when you hear the boom, 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 that music. So, at first again, there's going to fob it off. You've got the Die, twin, damn good actor, may he rest in peace. I love this actor. I always remember him being the Bond villain from Russell with Love, the one who Sean Connery has a fight with on the train, the one with the Watts. Brilliant actor, may he rest in peace. I just love the role of Quinn. You know what I do? And people just fob him off at first. That's where originally it was a deleted scene. That's the scene I wish they kept in the film with a little lad in it and he's picking on this poor kid. Sadly, it's not in the film, but it's still a good footage. Again, they're finding the shark. Most of the sharks are fake because it's a tiger shark. This is when Richard Chafers comes in and he tells him that he wants it to be the shark, but he knows by the length of its mouth this is a tiger, which normally tiger sharks are pack hunters. So it would have just been one shark. They hunt by packs. Me knowing sharks, I know what I mean. The mother of the poor kid walks in, slaps Roy Sider, just being Sheriff Boulder, and the mayor says she's in socks, she's upset, she didn't mean it, but you could tell by the look on his face. You could tell he feels bad because he did allow people to go in the water. He had no water, and the mayor was thinking of that. And in many ways, it's a sad scene. The mother's lost a kid, she's upset, and Sheriff Boulder, you could just see the guilt in his face. I'm getting all emotional now, but you can see the guilt in his face. Because basically, if he would have said, fuck the mayor, people's safety comes first, not allow people to go across that water, it would have been a different story. But, you know, it happened. So, I do love bits in it. Like, I love the bit where his son's copying Roy Sider, and he copies his face features, he does that. And he copies him, he does the scene, he says, come here, give me a kiss. And this little lad says, why? He says, because I need it. Which is one of the reasons why I fucking hate Charleston with Fens, because that shits all over that character being with Roy Sider's son. I'll get to that, and that will be a rant. But that scene, that's the day angles of Steven Spielberg, emotion, characters you love, something you'll never, ever, ever see in a movie ever again. And I love the bit, they do an autopsy on the shark, they know it's not. And again, you got the mayor in North here. Again, it attacks another guy, the one on the boat. Drags him again. I beat myself just going to my deleted scenes. I wish the scene in it where he's getting dragged and he's dragging fucking Sheriff Boulder's son. I wish that was in the film. I wish it was, because I think that would have had more of a... But it isn't, but it's too fine. And that's the bit where Sheriff Boulder says, fuck it, I've had enough, I'm going on a boat, I'm going with the dad being Queen. And they all, it's like I said, the first half of the film is an horror film. In my eyes, it's a fucking horror film. But then when it gets to them going on the boat, going after the shark, it becomes an adventure film. 3 dies trying to get a shark, which is a menace, just being a take right shark. And then not showing that shark. I do know they had problems. I do know Steven Spielberg called it the take right turd. That did it a favour. It benefited the film. Because like I say, it makes it what you don't see is more frightening. In today's era, it'd be all CDR shit. The not seeing makes that film more expensive. It makes it more stereo. It makes it more frightening. That's why I love Jaws. I do not want to see a fucking remake of it. I love it how it is. I do. Eat me with a shark. So they're going after the shark. I love the bit where you do get a shooting star and it comes to toss. I always loved that scene. Same as the bit where Richard Chambers says that line they're doing the autopsy on the dough. It's not a bolting accident and it's not Jack the Ripper. But I always remember that, which I do know is an iconic scene which was later be used in 1984, being Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. If anyone knows what I'm on about, there's a scene in it where Roy Siders on the boat and you got a shooting star coming across. Then it comes across again. If you ever see Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, it was also used in that with a shooting star coming across Inda and Sorter, the little kid. Little bit of tip there. I do love the bit where Roy Sider says that line, we're going to need a bigger boat. That's when you first get the fulfillment of the sack. That's when it's needed, where he's going on and says, maybe you ought to suffer all this shit. And you got the sack coming out and Roy Sider says that line, we're going to need a bigger boat. Always tacit scene, tacit line. I love the bit when they're going through the tests. I saw a bit of it better, why not? Don't get excited, girls. And he's looking for a star on his chest and they're going showing off all the stars. Roy Sider, Sheriff Bold's looking for one. Brilliant performance. And I always loved the bit where he told the story, Quinn, how he lost all his men. It was to do with Pearl Harbor. He had to have a tattoo removed because he didn't agree with what happened because it was top secret, and all of his men got killed by tiger sharks, right back, pack hunters. And that's what put him off having a life jacket. He's going to take his chance and have a life jacket, which of course becomes his fate later on in the film. I always remember the bit where Richard Tavis goes in the net, he's going after the shark, which did show a real footage of a real shark done by an Australian couple. They made their living basically by filming sharks, whether it be tigers, whether it be hammerheads, take rights. And there's a footage in it where the take right, if I get it right eventually, it was in 1973, by the way. The shark got its head stuck, the take right, it got it stuck on the ship, but it looks like it's attacking. It's not, it's panicking, it's trying to get out. It looks more scary than what it is. It got its head stuck on a net or something. Because it wriggled around that much, it managed to get itself undone, and it just basically swims away. The shark wasn't that hurt, it was more scared than hurt. That's the footage they keep in for the movie Jaws. That's the footage, because it looked so frightening. It looked like it's attacking the ship, but it's not. It was just real footage shot in 1973 of a real take right getting his head stuck on a ship, panicking, and it looked more frightening than what it was. When you see it all, it's not really that scary, but because it looks like, wow, they kept it for the film. I love the way Richard Chambers gets out. He's going underwater. That's the bit where Quinn meets his fate. He's trying to fight the shark. It bites into him. He bites blood out, and his fate is death. Roy Sider's in a Sheriff Boldy. He's got this big thing in his mouth. He shoots it, bowls it up, misses it a few times, and it's going for him again. I love the bit where Sheriff Boldy says, "Smile, you son of a bitch." One lucky hit. Shark goes down, and he used some of the music from Duel. If you remember the movie Duel, they used the music. So the bit where the shark's going down on the water, it's got blood going everywhere. You hear that, Duel. That's the bit what Steven Spielberg used in his film from '71, being Duel, which I felt was better than the book. In the book, I already said this, in the book, they drown the shark and the ship sails off. I can't remember if one of the men do die or three of them live in the book version. I could be right, I could be wrong. But I know they drowned the shark and that was it. Steven Spielberg wanted to have more of a bit more of a punch. People say it's not realistic. I don't give a fuck. I felt it was entertaining what we saw in the film. It was more entertaining. And what I liked is Richard Tivers comes up, he's not dead, he's alive and kicking. He talks about Quinn. Roy Sider's face, he doesn't have to say words, you get it. They ride off. And in the film, I remember rightly, Roy Sider had a fear of water, which I think is funny because he's working on a beach. He has a fear of water, but in the film, it comes his fear, he swims away, You got that date music, that the swim off on the beach, happy ending into a couple of years later when they made Jaws 2, which I think is an unestimated sequel. Jaws to Revenge shit on fucking Roy Sider's character, which I'll get to, and that will be a fucking rant. But Jaws got no issues with it. I think it made a date director, being Steven Spielberg. Without Jaws, you would have had Close Encounters of the Third Kind, you wouldn't have had E.T., you wouldn't have had the Indiana Jones films, you wouldn't have had Poltergeist, even though it's always been Adamant who directed it. You wouldn't have had all these date films. So this is the film that has launched Steven Spielberg. He made a name for himself. Some people say E.T., but with all fairness, without Jaws, you wouldn't have had E.T. I like it. I think there's nothing at all I can insult this film about. Nothing. It's a damn good film. It's arts on its sleeve. You've got good acting. You've got emotion when it needs to be. Something you don't see in films these days. People say the shark looks fake. I go with Pat to go any day. The fact they worked on this motor, what did all this underwater, yeah, it broke down a lot. I think it benefited the film anyway. Yeah, the shark in there, that bit where it's attacking Roy's side, it's coming through that boat, you can see it's fake, it's got fake teeth hanging out. But I liked it for that. I'm an old stool for them sort of practical effects. I'd use that over CGI any day of the fucking week. I really do. I love it when he bowls it up and he says that epic line, "Smile, you son of a bitch." They don't make films like this anymore. I don't want to see a remake. I don't want to see a remake. I hope I'm the only one on this. I don't want to see a fucking remake. They remake everything. Let the film be what it is. A timeless fucking classic. Thought it's anniversary. Why not? I'll do it the exact same age as what it is. Make up as I go along. 50-star rating, because there's nothing I can be about this film. We don't see the cycle lot as we do in the sequels. I think that benefited it. I'd seen the cycle a lot more in the sequels. We all knew at that point you couldn't have D&D in the top buckle, as to say, and go for not seeing it as much now. We wanted to see the baby, as to say, the baby more. So, but I think the first Jaws film, not seeing that shark benefited the film. Steven Spielberg, I don't get why he whines and moans that the shark was not working. I feel, and I'm saying this to Steven Spielberg here, I feel, my friend, that benefited the film more. Because it's like I say, it made it a horror film. When you do see the shark, it becomes an adventure film. It's three men taking on the shark. One of them uses his life trying to take on his face. Roy Sider takes his face because he's scared of water. Richard Chambers, I love that actor. He's a damn good. I said Moive. He's the only one who's alive. The only one. Have you ever acted now in this film? He's sadly no longer with us. That's something else. What I love about this film, because it's sad. You never see characters and actors like Roy Sider anymore. You're not. It's heartbreaking, but it's true. But I love this film. Damn good film. I know I'm doing this longer than what I normally do, and I know I'm fucking farting smoke out of its arse. But at the end of the day, it needs to be said. It's a damn good film. Jaws, 1975. It's still a classic today. I love it. I know I'm blowing smoke out of its anus, but it needs it. So again, a 50-star rating into them. Be smart. Be safe. See you later.